back in England, what have I missed? Well, the big ones, and the ones that are really depressing, is the fact that the petition to discuss the IHR health regulations and another petition to do with the World Health Organization both hit 100,000, which means they have to be debated in Parliament. However, there was a memo sent out by Parliament saying, we understand that both of these petitions have hit 100,000, however, we won't be debating them. So there you go. If ever you...
So Jeff, right, so basically, I know that it's kind of annoying, but basically Dr. Tess Lowry has already had her petition debated, which concerns the World Health Association and Organisation, and encompasses the same matters. So it's already been debated by Mark Franchois and Bridgen and that Danny Kruger and so forth. And the thing is that it's being looked at for a resolution. It's actually a matter that has been taken on by Parliament. So it's not like that those petitions are worthless, invalid. The thing is that if they debated them again, they're already on with that subject in a way. Really, both those two petitions that you just cited are within the scope of Dr. Tess Lowry's petition, 116,000, which is being looked at now. And really, those two petitions both should be amalgamated with those petitions of Tess Lowry's all together. So what they really do, and this is my opinion, this is what I believe, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that I've got to complain about Parliament and the Petitions Committee, which I'm on with now, really serious things to do with eligibility of petitions, reading them, what they can publish, and, rejecting things that really they shouldn't reject. But anyway, suffice to say that I'm taking it to the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office because Parliament is within their scope now, we find out as well, through that Constitutional Reform Act, Section 5, representations to the House of Commons. So, really, if those petitions have both hit 100,000, really what they do is they add all the signatures, which are witness statements of concern, they add to Tess Lowry's over the same subject matter. I don't know about the first one you mentioned, the IRF one, was it, or whatever, but I know, for example, the second one that you mentioned definitely does. I think that the first one will probably as well encompass that subject. So the government really, what you want to be saying to the petition committee is like, are you taking, these into account with Tess Lowry's? But the thing is, that petition of Tess Lowry's is a new complaint I've got to the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office over the 1700 Act of Settlement, which is statute law that forbids the ministers and the House of Commons and House of Lords and King Charles to give our rights away to foreign bodies or entities, regardless of whether we're a member or not of them. Doesn't matter whether we're a member of them or not. We're not allowed to give up our rights, our statute laws and rights, which apply to us. It's actually unlawful for the ministers to give them up, especially to foreign powers. It's actually subverting the liberties of the realm under the Bill of Rights, which is what evil ministers, councillors and judges. So it is concerning. And the thing is that it's a special committee that deals with the World Health Organization, but anything that Parliament does has to be approved by either of houses of Parliament, even if we agree to certain things or not, or whether not to agree, whether to intervene. If they're changing the rules and we don't intervene, a lack of action sometimes can be. In law, sometimes a lack of action is an offence. A lack of acting, a failure to act when you're required to act. Sometimes that can be an offence, a failure to act when there's a requirement to act. Now, if they're going to override our rights and the ministers don't intervene, then that likely is a subversion of the realm, liberties of the realm, because they're failing to preserve and protect the rights. Now, Mark Franchois, I wrote in a number of complaints about this 1700 Act of Settlement, You know, can they even take the rights away? Now, Mark Franchise did raise the question in that debate. He did raise the question. He asked it? You know, can they take our rights away? Yes or no? You know, there's a point to raise. Can they even do that? But he didn't mention the Act of Settlement. He found some other act as well that applies. He didn't mention the one that I'd raised, which was a bit annoying, because also that act which I raised has also got legislation about, you know, impeaching people, members of parliament, and it can't be pardoned. And if they did break the law and give our rights up unlawfully, they actually would be breaking the law. And it's funny because that line of law next to the part IV that says, you know, they can't take his rights away or give them away to foreign entities, it is right next to the part that says that an impeachment by Parliament cannot be pardoned. So, you know, they're on... MPs usually think they're invincible and they can kind of do what they want. Like Johnson, they just have to stand down, resign. But actually, we can actually get these people prosecuted, particularly when it's treasonous or subverting the liberties of the realm. And I don't think that they're taking this seriously enough. I don't think Sunak, even the Prime Minister, is taking it seriously enough. They're still in this kind of corporate, rule the world, you know, beyond leaders, money can buy them whatever they want in life, and power, not signatures and power of the people or the voters. So I think that they're not... Well, one reason by not drawing the Act of Settlement to the public's attention by mentioning it in that recorded live session would be that people would be like, oh, Act of Settlement, let's have a look at that. And then when they go online and have a look at it, then it says, oh, look, it's about impeaching people in Parliament and not being pardoned. I wonder if we could do that to the MPs. You know, so I think they're dancing close to the edge, possibly even over it. I don't think that even, you know, that Danny Kruger or whatever he's called, who seems quite a legitimate guy for a Conservative, I don't think that they're taking it that seriously when you're looking at putting MPs in prison. We're looking at getting MPs imprisoned. They're not immune. We can get them prosecuted by the Lords, actually. And we can call for that through the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office for representations to the House of Commons. The Speaker's just been in trouble recently. So with this World Health Organization, this is a perfect opportunity to actually... I'm looking now at getting legal action against these MPs, possibly even getting them prosecuted. Like, you know, that's the whole point of judges, you know. Now... Jeremy Johnson QC or Casey, who's been doing this Julian Assange case, he represented Lord Hanningfield, right, through the immunity, you know, for the observations of the House of Lords immunity at Southwark Crown Court. Now, he's judging the Julian Assange case, what I've also got a complaint in about, and... The thing is, when he represented Lord Hanningfield, I've got the legal representation. You can find it if you want observations on the House of Lords. The PDF is available online. There is another paper that he refers to, which I have not yet read, and that likely sets out some law. But they're not basing it on Magna Carta because there's only 4 clauses of Magna Carta in effect. I said 3 last time, there's 4. And not... Even though, ironically, Magna Carta says that it can't be annulled, so it seems like an all-or-nothing law, but apparently they're only picking and choosing what they want out of it. They're not saying that clause is in effect that says barons can only be judged by their equals, which that's the statute law, which actually sets the precedence and the legal basis, really, for the immunities of the peers, of the Lords and MPs. But what Johnson does in his paper is he points out he's using Article 9 or whatever of the Bill of Rights, which is, you know, illegal prosecutions by the King's Bench for matters decidable, debatable in Parliament. So, but that clause actually is the clause really that uses when the Bill of Rights was made, people were getting prosecuted by like the King's Bench and the Star Chamber and the High Court of Commission and things like that for petitioning. And actually, I think that if you look at the 1688 Bill of Rights, there's quite a lot of clauses that are paired up. The first section of articles and the second, they're not completely separate. The whole act really is kind of like one working model of like a, it's got like, you're not allowed to have a standing army, you can have arms but only for defence, so you're not allowed to attack other persons and things like that. You can have free speech and political matters, and then the right to petition, and you can't be charged for elections and clearly not for petitioning either. Because if you read Professor Karen Bauer's paper, there's a lot of things that figure into that as well. So it's kind of like a model of it, and a lot of the clauses pair up together or triple up, and that illegal prosecutions by the King's Bench, that's to do with actually that tumultuous petitioning act procedure and what happened after that 1661 act with the 1688 Bill of Rights. So it does apply to politicians when they're doing their work. I don't dispute that for Johnson, and you can work outside of Parliament. I mean, I think that it's a while since I read it, but as far as I could gather, and Jeremy Johnson, KC might say that I'm wrong about this, but it's a while since I read it all. But the general gist of it was that he said that that the gist of it basically is that the House of Lords decide what work Annanfield's doing and what work he's not doing, not the courts, basically. And you can actually work outside, you don't have to be inside. You can be doing work for Parliament outside, like, for example, Lord Adonis, when he was going, he went out to evaluate the train, all the trains, the whole train system around England. He was supposed to do, he himself went out and was meant to have surveyed it, didn't? So when he's doing that work for the House of Lords, because he's going out surveying. So obviously he's got doing casework, just like a police investigation. So that's the general kind of basis, but there's a bit of court etiquette of contradiction when Johnson's going, the court is perfectly entitled to make, decision itself, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it can, or something like that along those lines. But, he was going on about the clerk, can do court work outside of a courtroom. He doesn't have to just be walking around the corridors, passing papers around the court, that might send him out to the post office or, to, buy some, the court clerk could be sent to go buy some stamps or something in the post office. He's doing court work, that's work for the court. If they don't sell them the stamps, then he'll have to, he compel them to sell them to them. You're getting into the realms of the Town and Country Planning Act as well for publicating, witness appeals printed in newspapers and things like that. Things that, powers of Parliament and the court which extend beyond the building, so it's sort of around that realm. It's funny though, it's ironic that Magna Carta clause is not in effect. So, with that Magna Carta clause not being in effect now, barons and lords can only be judged by their equals. I think now they can be judged by their equals. But they are protected when they're doing work on behalf of the House of Lords. They can't be prosecuted through the courts. But that means that we, the people, can petition for something to be done about it, because we can, that means that we're allowed to sign petitions, and make an observation and judgment against them that they should be, brought to some sort of judicial action, even if it's not through the Crown Courts, even if it has to be the Supreme Court or in Parliament. And again, the House of Commons, Tice was saying for Reform Party that they did get some convictions overturned, so they can do the opposite. But I severely doubt we're going to get Parliament to prosecute each other. I don't think they're going to have a porn fest inside there where they're all going to be prosecuting each other, unless it's the SNP who do it. But I severely doubt that Martin Day is going to bring about that motion. maybe in the House of Lords, but all these peers who are getting elected now are all pro-business, pro-corporate, pro-BlackRock. There's a very small number of them who aren't pro-BlackRock Vanguard. I think a lot of those hereditary lords who they got rid of probably would be quite strong advocates of rights, because some of them were liberals, some of them were before this Labour Party got changed. Some of those families will have known about how do we even? It's a miracle we've got the 1688 Bill of Rights. It's a miracle we had that committee of motions and griefs in Parliament, and it's a lot of those. This is what we're trying to find now: people in Parliament who can remember that. Committee of Griefs and Motions, but even that Peter Bottomley, who's the longest serving MP in Parliament, and Barry Sheehan aren't aware of it, don't know about it, because 1973 was still quite a number of years. I think Barry Sheehan actually was something like 79 or 89, I've forgotten, but he's only a couple of years behind Peter Bottomley, Sir Peter Bottomley, MP. I've seen photos of Bottomley when he was younger. He looks all right, but that's like when you get this Peter O'Born talking about the Conservative Party is not what it used to be. The Conservative Party used to be representing the Shires and all this on Double Down News. Not this Sunak Johnson Cameron Conservative Party, which is corrupted, and really, it really is inherited from Tony Blair. I really think that Tony Blair, who really twisted it, with his digital ID, because the mobile phone is the digital ID. There's no doubt about that. We've already got a digital identity on our persons. The rest of it's just red herring now, to put the final nail in the coffin when it's officially declared that the government, can use and access it all, and we've got to have a stupid card to go along with it, which is jokes, even though we've all got the actual phone with the data on it, and all their private companies that they've got shares in are accessing that information anyway. And the press and media. So we're just being insulted after insult after insult, lie after lie, charade after charade. But going back to this matter with Teslaris petition, that petition's it's been actioned, so all those signatures go towards it. But I need to complain about Parliament to say that that act of law is being ignored, and if they do ignore it, then they need to be prosecuted, and that is for the Judicial Conduct Investigation Office through representations to the House of Commons, because really the MPs can be prosecuted by the Lords, really, which is Lord Chief Justice, Lady Chief Justice, her office, really. That's where I am with it now. There's a few other issues with local council issues as well that women. You can actually appeal local council decisions to Parliament as well. And while you're appealing them, the council orders are supposed to be frozen, stopped, annulled while you're pursuing a resolution. But this is the thing, our House of Commons is just going to say they're not going to debate it. You've actually got a legal right to a resolution if you go through correct due process. And then we've got this 5% of the electorate that's supposed to grant us a referendum. So there's no doubt that we're having our political power denied. It's all blatantly out there with this 20-mile-an-hour speed limit one in Wales with Drakeford. I mean, that's the pinnacle of it all. That is the ultimate pinnacle of it all, because we're already 3 or 4 times greater than the number of signatures required for a referendum, and we're not getting it. So that means that at the moment, we don't have any power. Well, we've got power in the law, but they're not acknowledging that we've got any powers at all. It's like MPs are elected just to do their own business, not they're elected to represent us. At the moment, we've got a government where we're electing people to serve functions so they can represent us in the government, but they're not. They're getting elected, and then they're just representing their own political party interests and the corporate who they've allowed through law to take all our money off us, put ridiculous policies in place which are beyond the law, and control us through their new technologies and research developments. Then they get a new government department for that to put the nail in the coffin, when they've always got us controlled by the sniff of the, hot dog stand, and all these other scents and smells and pictures. They've got, they've got the fingers on the button, so to say. All these massive amounts of money to lay bills before Parliament, lobby the government, do handshakes. They're getting bills and legislation put through, and then when the government doesn't do what they say, they're taking them to court. Where are the people taking them to court? Through the NHS, for all the strategic planning on the food industry, which is now all owned by the same entities. These people are criminals. There is no doubt about it, and I don't think they're immune from it. You don't have a political right to make the law up and do what you want when it's against the law. We got Drakeford on that at the moment, and also we're going to have all the MPs on it on this WHO thing, because they're going to subvert the liberties of the realm, and then they're all going to be. I'm going to try and get them all prosecuted, the whole lot of them, if they don't intervene in this World Health Organization bid to take over the rights. That they're going to have to all go to prison, all of them. And we'll have to get some decent MPs in. And I'm confident. I'm quite confident now with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm confident that he might win being president. And then I know that I think everything is going to be all right if he gets in, because I'm quite sure that Air Force One will take care of the rest. With all the corrupt ministers and MPs, because Robert F. Kennedy is a lawyer and he's prosecuted these people. So if he gets into the President of the United States of America position, I don't think he'll be fucking about, particularly seeing though he's got multiple air bases over in England. He'll send lawyers over to England and go into the courts in England and prosecute them. I'm quite confident that we've got a chance to get these people in prison. All of them, like the whole lot of them, like make history. This is like, Bill of Rights. This is like, the Duke of Buckingham, Villiers, Vile. This is like the ultimate Judgment Day. I think that this could go down in the history books for something magnificent and brilliant, whereas Sunak's thinking, yes, more skyscrapers, more technology, live forever, his Department of Technology and Innovation, which I don't think that he's taking it quite seriously, and all the corrupt politicians are going to prison. Who's corrupt? Me? Not me. Yes, you, Rishi, you're corrupt. Stolen all the money from the people. What gives you the right to, have any money? Well, I organised it all. I'm the manager. I told people what to do. Well, no, we tell you what to do when we vote. Well, we're supposed to be telling the MPs what to do, but you're not doing what we want to do. Well, that's why you were going to the voting into the polling station and, tick the box, because we want you to represent us. We don't want you to represent the Labour Party in the government. What's the point in that? You vote for a person to represent people. The party doesn't exist. It's not a living thing. You call it an entity, but, you're voting for a person to represent other people, and when they collect signatures for stuff and they're just ignoring it, he's not serving purpose. Really the political... I think the Labour and the Tory party need to be prosecuted. I don't think that what they're doing with all this strategic planning, no matter how much you need it, for floods and, fires and so forth, they're using that as an excuse. You can't have a democracy when there's strategic planning, because you need, the council's making plans. The council has to do every single thing that it's planning to do if it wants to do long-term plans, or you don't buy you can't buy a jigsaw puzzle and then leave it half undone. But the whole point of government is you elect people. What's happening in the world? Well, what's happening is what's happening. These people want this, those people want that. The people who have voted, but that's not what's happening. what's happening is these parties are getting elected and then they're having little meetings and they're sitting there deciding, you know, what should we do, what should we do? And these corporate companies come and say, oh, we've got loads of money, we'll do this, or we've got loads of money, we'll do that. Why don't we plan this? Why don't we plan that? The whole world is being planned by companies. Well, they're the ones making the discoveries. They're the ones with the innovation and technology. Well, that's why we're a mess. They innovated McDonald's, they innovated KFC, they innovated Subway. They innovated fairground rides. They innovated everything. And look at the complete and total mess. No one's happy with it. Oh, no, start again, reform, Keir Starmer, you know, whatever. When you elect people, when they go into the council, it's not business. They're not selling anything. They're doing democracy. The people go and tell them what is of interest to them and what is of concern. No one should be making any strategies or plans around us. Now, if someone with a lot of money wants to go into the council and enter some planning permission to build a chain of McDonald's all around the country, that's one person with some plans, right? And if all the people in the village go in, if they say, we don't want a McDonald's built here, then they're not building it, right? But Rishi Sunak thinks that money, the money is the power, right? No, money is the power when you're buying hot dogs, because you give them the money, you give them a hot dog. If you're buying a car, you buy it with money. You don't buy a car with votes, right? Now, Rishi Sunak, he thinks that in governments and councils, you buy things with money. But you don't. It's not the currency of governments. Votes are the currency of governments, not money. But because Rishi Sunak's been brought up with money, he thinks that money buys you things through government. And that's where he's severely misled and wrong. And I don't care who's lobbying him. I don't care what investments he's got or anything. He's currently breaking the law of England, and he's denying and rejecting the sovereign power of votes and signatures because it doesn't fit with his plans. It doesn't cut with his jib. It doesn't cut with his party plans or his strategic development section or whatever. Well, he's got a thing to learn. We elect them to go in and do work, not business. It's not a company. It's not business. They're not doing business. They're doing democracy. The menu of the day, the order of the day is what is rolling in with the votes, what we want you to build, what we want you to pay attention to. But unfortunately, Michelle Donlan or whatever is knocking in with, you know, Bill Gates. We're gone. We've been sold out, and that's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is all about. He's all about we the people and reclaiming back the voters' currency of their sovereign power into what is on the order of the day, the menu of the day, not what money comes into the table on a council office chamber, £1 million to build a McDonald's chain or whatever it is, which is what Rishi Sunak believes in, and his party. But we need to get rid of these parties. We need to get rid of these parties, which is, you know, what We the People's all about. Because they're evil, they're evil, corrupt, and they have hoarded all the benefits and profits of mankind, and they're all stored up. They're not even using them. You know, anything they can have in the world, click your fingers. These people can have anything, but what they're having is things that are bad for us, and when we submit these documents and these forms and these requests, they're just saying, it's nothing to them, nothing. Well, it is actually something. And they're going to find out it's something when no one turns up to vote for them or they get voted out. And, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see when, one person turns up to vote and they end up voting for Monster Raving Looney Party. Then Sunak will know. And at the moment, Sunak and his pals have got control of the main news and media. So we'll see. We'll see. If Sunak thinks the world revolves around money, and finances, what money you've got, a strong economy. Well, it's strength, Well, what about strong voting? What about strong petition? Oh, effectively, Rishi Sunak does not actually believe. Let's put it more clearly. Rishi Sunak does not believe that 100,000 signatures is worth more than £100,000. Let's put it that way. And, 100,000 signatures isn't nothing, I'll tell you that. It's not easy to get, even if, someone does get it easier than other people. I'd like to see Sunak get it on paper himself in 6 months. He can't, because it's not possible. I would actually challenge Sunak. I'll challenge him on a Winchester College project. I'll challenge Sunak with a pencil and paper. I'd buy him the paper and give him the pencils himself without any help from anyone else. I like to see him get 100,000 signatures himself on any petition in 6 months, all by himself with no help, because it can't be done. It's actually impossible, because you've got to get one a minute. It's not actually possible to do it. He won't do it. I mean, you got more chance of solving the Crystal Maze with O'Brien, doing a head spin and, breakdancing. It's not going to do it, because it's actually an impossible task which he's set, which you can't do. Not on paper. So, I'll challenge him to that. If you want, like on, The Devil Went Down to Georgia, he was looking for a soul to steal or whatever, Charlie Daniels band, I'll bet Sunak. Let's see Sunak himself, by himself, without any help from his party or friends, with a pencil and paper. I like to see him get 100,000 signatures in 6 months. Let's see it, because he can't do it. It's actually impossible to do. It's an impossible feat. Can't do it. So therefore, but instead, what he'll do is, if you give me only £500,000 and I can pay people to do it for me, get my minions to go out and do it. Oh, well, the money must be worth more than the signatures then, Rishi. These ministers don't value these signatures. You used to be able to, you needed less signatures. You only needed you weren't allowed more than 20 to get it into House of Commons. And it was based on evidence-based petitions, not signature-based. In fact, they wouldn't let you have large numbers of signatures, which actually would put a stop to all this mass protesting and demonstrations, because they wouldn't be able to officially be all recognised that they're all participating unless they went through a court first, and then they're all recognised that they were actually engaged in it. You actually control the numbers of people involved in it, but now you need more. They won't accept it unless you've got more people signed up and joined. So it's almost kind of like they're encouraging people to, form massive, large, disorderly groups after 1986. So that tumultuous 1661 Act getting repealed. So, there's that. But as for what Jeff said with those, other 2 petitions, really, that just basically strengthens Teslari's case, which is already being looked at, which is useful. But our Parliament going to take on board those extra 200,000 signatures or whatever, taking into the account that it doesn't matter about those, because I'm going to make sure that, the Lady Chief Justice acts on this matter through the Judicial Conduct Office and through that 1700 Act of Settlement, which actually, if you could do this World Health Organization based on the opinion of people or based on the facts and evidence. Well, I'm coming at them from another side through complaints, because, all you need is, you don't even need any signatures. All you need is, call the Act of Settlement out and say, what are you doing? This is illegal. So, based on that, we'll see what happens. We'll see. But I if I was the British government, the entire House of Commons, I would be very, very scared if I were them, because they are dancing close to the precipice when it comes to treason. If they end up subverting our rights and liberties, that's treason. So I would caution them